So guys, today's episode was wholesome. Of Bad Buddy, let's talk about the episode. So I really predicted that it was Y, but I think Y redemption arc was not that great. Like, he literally outed Pat and Pran without their permission. Then we didn't even get a proper apology for him. But I guess Pran's friends already knew that he was gay, so that's why the issue was more of Pran is dating a rival. But still, Y should have apologized to Pat and Pran both. And I love how Pat said, I can't even pretend to break up with you, and this time it was Pran holding his hand to assure him that I am with you, and we will go through this together, and I am sorry that I was slandering Corn, but Corn is really best character development. Like, I love how he learns how to respect someone else's privacy also. Like, he never questioned Pran after their relationship was revealed, and he quickly adapted to it. I just love this whole conversation at the table, how Pat and Pran talk about their sexuality, and Pat admitting he is gay or pan, and how they mock THT famous BL trope of I am straight, I only like this guy trope. Like, it's so annoying, I hate this trope. And I even like how they addresses that husband and wife trope, and I like the Pran clearly said, you calling me a wife will make you superior, and he told him to call him boyfriend instead. That Pat getting injured and admitting in the hospital came true. The difference is, in the novel it was Pran who got cornered by some goons, then Pat jumps into the fight, and both the gangs fight together with the goons, and then someone hit Pat on his head, then Pran took him to the hospital and got some stitches on his head. I really like that Pat realized that previously when his friends bullied Y and he did anything, but this time he stood up for Y, and still hoping for Ink and Pa endgame. So let's begin the spoilers. So guys, in the previous spoilers, so in the novel, when their parents find out that Pat and Pran were friends and they live in the same dormitory, they were so angry, they brought Pat back to his house, and he will no longer live in the dormitory. So Pat and Pran didn't meet with each other for days. Even in the college, their class schedule always clash with each other, so they couldn't even meet properly in college. And Pat's mom always keeps an eye on him, so he can't even properly talk to Pran with his phone. Then Pa sometimes conveys his message to Pran. Then Pat finally, after day, meets Pran at the college. He quickly hugged Pran, then he said, I miss you a lot, did you miss me? Then Pran also said, yes, I miss you a lot. Then Pran said, don't you have any class? Then Pat replied, yes I have, but I wanna meet you. But then Pran said, enough, go take your classes. Then Pat sighed and asked him for a kiss at least. Then Pran grabs his neck and give him a kiss. Then Pat, I am satisfied for now, but I will surely get you later. Then Pran also starts to live at his house so he could at least see Pat. Then Pran was waiting for Pat to arrive at his house. Pran was waiting at the balcony, then he saw that Pat's car is coming and Pat is not alone. There is a girl. Pat opens a door for her and give that girl a big smile, which made Pran super jealous. Then Pat suddenly saw that Pran saw him. He panicked and he quickly went to his room and called. Pran was clearly angry. Then Pat said, I wanna talk to you. Then Pat enters Pran's room through the balcony. Then Pat explained everything. That girl is her fiancée. He was forced by his parents to marry her. He agreed only so he could at least go to college, and where he can meet him. Pran was angry that he didn't tell him such a big news, and chose to hide it from him. He was jealous and angry also that he didn't tell him. Then Pran, if we are lovers, your problem is my problem too. Then Pat said, I am sorry. Then he kissed at his hands and said, I love you. Then he leaves because Pa called him due to his mom asking about him. So Pran was angry with Pat, so he don't wanna talk to him. He avoided Pat for a few days and didn't pick up his calls. Then one night Pran heard someone knocking at his window. It was Pat. Then Pran opened the window and cursed at him. Pat kneeled down and said, I am really sorry. Please don't ignore me. I am sorry I didn't tell you about her. And he said, I don't wanna stress you out. That's why I didn't tell you. Then Pran said, okay, get up. I am not angry with you anymore. Get up. Pat kissed at the back of Pran's hand. Then Pran said, go back to his room. But Pat insisted. Pran kicked at his abdomen because Pat started to kiss him, and started to get more intimate and Pran got panicked. Then Pat said okay, I am leaving then. Pat went to his own room. Then Pat asks Pa to put some ointment on the wound. Then Pran. The next day Pat and Pran meets at the college. Pran was with his friends and Pat was with his friends. Pat said to Pran, have you eaten? Pran replied, not yet. Pran asked out about the wound. Then Pat said it's fine, don't worry. Pat really wanna say he miss him in front of everyone, but he didn't wanna embarrass him, so he just said bye. Then both leave. When Pat arrives at his room, he saw Pran topless and he wet, and a towel wrapped his waist, so Pat couldn't control himself. He climbed Pran's window and entered his room. Then Pran said, why are you here again? He said, I really miss you. Then Pran replied, we just met a few hours ago. Then Pran said, my hair is wet, don't hug me now. Then Pat said, don't worry, let me wipe your hair. Then Pran sat on the floor and Pat started to wipe his hair. Then Pat started to aggressively shake Pran's head. Then Pran hit him with his knees on the same wound and Pat said it still hurt. Then for the first time Pran started to kiss Pat, and Pat was shocked, Boothie enjoyed. Then Pran removed Pat's shirt, and Pat, then both were in a naked. Then Pran and Pat tossed each other while kissing each other. Pat whispers in his ears, if you don't wanna do it, we will stop. Then Pran grabbed his neck for a kiss, saying that he wants it. Then they have sex. Then Pran and Pat went to his room. For a few days Pran and Pat just talked through phone and they went on a movie date. Then Pat once again climbs Pran's window and they once again have sex. Then the next morning they heard shouting voice of Pran's parents. They caught both of them in Pran's bed. Pran's father grabs Pat's hand and takes him out of their house. Then Pat's dad sees him and clearly was in utter shocks. Pat's dad asked Pat, when did this happen? Pat replied, why do you wanna? Then Pat's dad started to get angrier. Then he said, I raised you like this. I am so disappointed with you. Then Pat replied, like you are disappointed because I am like this. I don't hate Pran like you guys. I don't like to punch the way mom wants me to like her. Then Pat's dad his collar and almost went to punch him, but his mother intervenes between them. Then her mother said, Pat, it's just a phase. You are just confused. And Pat isn't gay. Then Pat's dad told that you will no longer live in that room, you will in the last room. And Pat's mom said to take his phone also. Then Pa just grabs Pat's hand and take him to their room. Then Pat started to cry in front of her. Then she comforted him. She said, I know it's hard for them to understand, and she said it's not just you guys are gay. Even if Pran was a woman, it's still he is neighbor sons that we have to hate each other. Then Pat said it's not fair. Then Pa said, just, for now, do what they say. Then Pat did what their parents told me to do. Then Pat said, did you talk to Pran, is he fine? Then Pa said, I can't help you communicate with him, because dad might doubt at her. Then she passed her phone. Then she said, quickly talk to him. Then Pat calls Pran through Pa phone. Then Pran quickly answered, what is it, Pa? Then Pat said, it's me. Then Pran said, are there any wounds? Pat replied, no. It's far from my heart, with a laugh, but from the other side of the phone he heard Pran's crying, and then Pat said, I am sorry, and Pran said, you should be. Then Pat said, I am really sorry. Then Pat said he has to go meet Punch and her parents, and his parents are planning a lunch to talk about the engagement this time. I don't wanna hide anything from you. Pran just replied with a new mm. Then Pat said, we'll say you more than you mm. Then Pran said, what do you want me to say? Then Pat said something like, I love you. Pran said, you are taking advantage. Then suddenly Pran said, someone is coming by. Then Pat said, I love you. Then he hung up the phone. Then for a few days Pat did what his parents told him, but he can't no longer live without Pat. He decides that today he will run away with Pran. Then we get Pran's perspective from the point of view that Pran's dad slaps him. Then he said, when did I raise you like this to become like this? Pran said, Pat is not a bad person. Then Pat dad was about to slap him one more time. Her mother intervened and she grabs his hand. Then she said, please go back to the old Pran. Then Pran said, I am that same Pran. Whether I love Pat or not, I am not same. Then his dad said, fine. You are like this now. Now you will no longer study here. You will go to England for the studies and you don't need the degree anyway. Pran just went to his room, locked and stayed. All day here he didn't let anyone in. At 3 AM his phone rang. It was Pat. He said, I am at the alley. Grab your things. Let's run away far from here. Pran said, Pat, listen. Then Pat said, we will rent a house and we'll start all over again. Pran said, listen to me. I wanna go with you. But in reality what you said, it's not easy. Pat said, what else we need? I want to be with you. I love you and you love me. Then Pran said, just loving each other is not enough. Do you think we will get a house and we'll get a job and we'll live just cuddling each other? Then Pat said, it's better than being locked up in the room and getting married someone else than you. Pran said, Pat, you don't understand. Just being like this, I already became a terrible child. It's enough. Since many days, my mother is always crying. Everything is getting worse. Can't you see? Then Pat replied, I don't care about anyone. I want to be with you. Don't you understand? Pran shouted. Pat said, I don't want to endure it. Do you understand? I don't want to endure. Pran said, Pat, calm down. Before you listen to me please. Then Pran started to cry. Then Pat said, you don't care if we're not together? If we have to break up? If I have to go marry someone else who is not you? Then Pran said, you don't care about your parents. Then don't you care about your sister? Pat, after hearing this sentence, Pat was silent. Then he said, why are saying like this? Anyway, you are not coming. Then Pran said, Dad is sending me to go to study at England. Then Pat said, I won't let you go. Then Pran said, I don't have any choice. Then Pat said, I am asking you one more time, will you come with me or not? He said, if you not come with me, we have to break up, because you won't be here, and I have to marry that girl. Then Pran said with sadder voice, Then Pat also started crying, and Pat said, if you have decided that, then I'll have to go back and get married for my parents as well. Then he hung up the phone. Pran, while crying, kneeled down while holding the phone and said, I love you, and wishing the best for him from now. So I am not sure if this scene might happen or not in the series, but if it happened it would be painful.